Hi there. New face, same regime. They're closing cafes again. They're closing restaurants and gyms and shops. Why? Because Iranian women won't put their hijabs back on. Good on them. But if you ever needed a reminder of the folly of waiting for the Islamic Republic to reform itself, this is it. New face, same regime. Now, most Iranians don't need to hear this. You know, the promise of reformism died a long time ago for millions who have watched this horrific movie over and over again. But apparently some people in the West need a reminder of who the Islamic Republic is. You may recall when Masoud Pezeshkian was ushered in as president a couple of years ago. The reformist, the moderate, the man who campaigned against the violent enforcement of compulsory hijab and promised Iranians they would no longer be harassed in the streets. They even suspended a harsh new hijab law. And yet, here we are. Authorities sending warnings, opening judicial cases, sealing businesses. In Tehran alone, at least 20 cafes and restaurants were recently reported closed, with more closures across the country. So much for reform. New face, same regime. And of course, now we hear about another liberal moderate, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, former Revolutionary Guard commander, longtime regime insider. He's been floated as a pragmatic interlocutor, even a potential palatable partner for Washington. Pragmatic. Well, let's not confuse pragmatism with democracy. Let's not confuse a willingness to negotiate with the West to ensure one's survival with a willingness to liberate Iranians. Because while Western capitals search for the next acceptable face of the Islamic Republic, protesters are still being executed. More than 900 people have been executed in Iran this year alone, and that's the official count. It's bad enough that this week the European Union and 26 countries issued a joint condemnation of the execution of protesters. All of this after tens of thousands of Iranians were massacred in the streets by this despotic dictatorship in January. New face, same regime. This is not a system slowly evolving toward freedom. It's a system fighting for its own survival by any means. The president can change, the rhetoric can soften, the suit can replace the uniform. A regime insider can suddenly be marketed as a pragmatist because he knows the way to talk to Washington. But the machinery underneath remains: the supreme leader, the Revolutionary Guard, the judiciary, the executions, the political prisoners, and apparently still the obsession with women's hair. At some point, reform stops being a promise and becomes an alibi. You cannot democratize a dictatorship by changing its spokesperson. You cannot reform your way out of a system built to resist reform. New face, same regime.